Hi YouTube, so welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new here. Don't forget to subscribe and join our little community. So today I'll be sharing money habits that are crucial and that you can still develop in your 20s. In your 20s is a good time to develop them, but if you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, you can still develop them because they're just like good money habits that will like make you have a better living or just a more fulfilling life. So habit number one, I'll say it's important for you to develop the habit of, or rather like learn to spend on things that mean something to you or like things that mean the most to you, you know, because I think money will just go, but it's whether money goes that either fulfills you or trains you, you know. So let's say you're the kind of person that like, you treasure, like you like looking good, you like dressing up and stuff like that, but you don't spend your money on buying clothes and all that. You just, why? I think it's important to just spend on things that give you pleasure. Let's say if you like to travel, it's important to develop the habit of like using your money for that purpose. Or if you like to, whatever you want to do, just make sure you have a certain part of your earning that is directed toward the thing that fulfills you, because I think the whole idea of this life is to just like enjoy yourself. So don't spend your money based on peer pressure. Like everyone is buying a Gucci watch, you also have to get a Gucci watch. Everyone is buying an iPhone, whatever, I also have to get it. If having that phone will not fulfill you, I don't see why you should prioritize having that phone rather than doing other things that will kind of like fulfill you. Even if shoes fulfill you, it's meaningful because for as long as it means something to you, it matters. So learn to spend on things that matter to you the most, even though it's not making sense to other people. This is your life after all, yeah? So that's habit number one. Habit number two, I would say, is creating a budget and sticking to it. This is very crucial. Like I myself am still like learning in progress. Like I'm not as consistent as I would love to be, but I know the benefits of like having a budget and sticking to it. The good thing about budget is that like you know where your money is going and you are able to direct your money towards the right ways where you want it to go. So I'd say like it's always useful to have a budget, and sticking to your budget is even like top-notch behavior. Habit number three, I would say like start saving, and start saving just as early as possible. So with savings, you could save for different things. So maybe you could save it for big purchases, or you could just save for rainy days. You could just save for anything. But I think the most important is just having the habit of saving. Because I think for most of us, we have not grown up with that habit. If that's just like a habit that we have to develop right now. So say just like get yourself used to that habit of saving. So like let's say you could just start, let's say like taking like a certain portion of your pay aside every month. Just has to get used to that, like the whole concept of saving, because I think most people are in the cycle of like getting their earnings and then spending all of it and then waiting for payday, same cycle. But I think you'll be able to do much more with your life when you like put aside and like relate that to other things as well. Another point I would say is increasing your earnings. I think there is just so much that your habits can do for your financial state, and there is a good percentage that the level, the amount that you earn will impact your life. So always look for ways in which you could like increase your earnings. That would be like getting a new job or like doing other things on the side, right? Especially if you have time or if you have skills and stuff like that. Don't shy away from looking for opportunities. Like don't be ashamed of just saying like, hey guys, if something comes up, please tell me, like I'm looking for so and so and so. And just like, don't be ashamed of your hustle. That's what I was saying here. So if you have other ways to increase your earnings, you don't have to be ashamed of like, oh, people will say like I'm hustling too much. No, you're not. Just like go after all the money that you can, like increase your earnings in all ways that you can. This is just, I think, a good habit to have moving forward, so that you just don't hold yourself back with like life's progress, you know. Don't shy away from growth. If there is a window for you to make more, if it's asking for a raise and so and so and so, don't be ashamed about it. Increase your earnings as much as you can. Okay? Another thing I'll say is getting insurance. And I think getting insurance is a good money habit that is highly integrated in our community. And partly there is this perception that insurance is only available for people who are employed. That is wrong. Like, you could also get insurance as as an independent contractor. Let's say if you do like freelancing and all of that, you can still get insurance which is personal to you. Or if you're just like a small business owner, whatever, you can get insurance as well. And the packages are very convenient, depending on the company that you choose to get insured with. But I know NHIF has like very fair prices for their packages as well. And there are other companies like Jubilee and the like, so you can pick whoever sells you. But I just would like this to be like common knowledge that you don't have to be employed to be insured. Like, you can get insurance as a small business owner, as an independent contractor, and all of that. And insurance is a good money habit because that's very much neglected, but medical bill can be very costly when they hit you, you know. And people sometimes assume, oh, I won't get sick and stuff. But in most cases, if you look at the medical bill that you're going to pay in case you get sick and the price that you'd have paid for insurance, usually the insurance is cheaper than the inconveniences when you get sick, you know. So I'll just say it's just good to have insurance. So especially health insurance, like the other kind of insurance like housing and all that will depend on the state of life. But health insurance, I think, should be mandatory for everyone. Depending, like, yeah, it should just be for everyone. Also, I'd like to speak on people like who have kids and stuff like that. Even if you're not employed, I think if you have a child, you should have insurance. Because first and foremost, like, kids get sick all the time, and they get sick unpredictably. And then out of nowhere, you just have to like, imagine like just waking up, you don't have money, and then your child is sick, and then you have like a big bill. Like, this just like a lot of stress, but I think you can save yourself from that if you get your child insured. And as I said, you don't have to be employed to get insurance. You can get insurance as a private person, and you can get insurance for your child as an independent person. And I think insurance for kids is very cheap. Okay, it's not cheap, I take my word, but it's affordable in a way. Like, in most cases, most people can afford to get it, but it's just that the awareness is not that much out there. Last time I checked, it was like 50K to buy insurance to get your child insurance for the year. And looking at how much kids could cost when they get sick and how frequent they usually get sick, I just think it's a good deal. So yeah, just get insured. It's a good habit for real. It's a good habit to have. It's just saving you so much stress when the risk appears. And because health is very delicate and you cannot choose, or you cannot foresee when you're going to get sick and stuff like that. So just have yourself insured, because I just don't wish for anyone to be in a state where you're so sick, but then you cannot afford to take yourself to the hospital. That's just like horrible. So save yourself the horror and get insured if you can. Another point I would say is to invest in your financial education. Like, I'll keep on insisting on this. And I think with financial education, there is not enough amount of knowledge that you could have. Like, you can always learn from your surrounding, the people around you, the things that you've done so far. I mean, like, I myself was to say, I'm still like, it's like a work in progress. Like, I still have a lot to learn, and I'm still learning a lot on the daily. And I think like it's useful for us to approach financial education as a never-ending kind of like learning phase. So it's not like after I read 2 books of financial education, I'm done. No, just don't look at it like that. Just look at it as in this is a life skill. So I have to improve every now and then, you know, because the industry changes, things changes every time. So it's important to like refresh yourself and like have new knowledge. You know, like financial methods that worked back in the 2000s probably not work right now. So it's important to keep yourself like up to date, and just so that you'll be able to do like things that are helpful and they'll help you with your finances in the long run. Yeah. So just don't shy away from financial education. Keep yourself out there and be open to learning. And you should know that like learning does not have to be going to school. You could learn about money from your friend. You could learn about money from your boss or the people who surround you and stuff like that. But one thing is for sure, it's mostly advised to learn from people that you look up to than people who do not know what they're saying, right? When someone is giving you advice, first see if they themselves have done that. Because sometimes people can be misleading, so be careful who you take your advice from. It's more useful to take advice from someone who has tried what they're advising you than someone who has just heard from someone, and that would be useful. And it does making sense. Another thing that I think is a good money habit to have is to develop a debt payment plan. So if you have debts of any kind, I think it's important to have like a good plan on how to pay them, because I think it's just not ideal for anyone to stay with the stresses of debt all the time. I don't know, but for me, I just think it's not healthy. So I think you can minimize that stress when you have like a plan on how you're going to pay that. So a good way to pay your debt would have been like to prioritize the high interest debts so that you can like get rid of those as soon as possible, and then you pay the rest as they come. Also, another thing to include in your debt payment plan is to have like a continuous habit of like directing a certain percentage of your pay towards that, so that you know like every month, because I know majority of people paid monthly, every month you're working towards that goal and stuff like that. Also, because I think when you don't have a debt payment plan, it's easy to just keep that debt in the background, and then someday all of that will boil out and then will burst on you, and it will be a very huge debt, because considering interest rates and time and all of that factors, it would just be like a bigger problem than what it have been if you'd have allowed yourself to pay slowly. So I think if you have debts, just make sure you have a debt payment plan and you have like a good structure to pay that debt out, so that you just like ease yourself from the stress, because I don't think the stress is worth it. So just allow yourself the freedom of life and just like have a plan that will kind of like release the stress and in the long run keep your debt clean if you can. Another point I'd like to touch upon is like having a peace of mind account. So this is just like a habit that you could start developing slowly. So remember I mentioned about saving, so you could be saving for different ways. Let's say either it's a big purchase, or you're saving for rainy days, or there is this thing that you can be saving for your peace of mind account. So essentially, peace of mind account is just an account where you put, let's say, like 1 year worth expenditures of you. Like if anything happens to your finances right now, if anything happens to your career right now, if anything happens to your business right now, you'll still be able to maintain your current standard of living for like at least, let's say, 3 months, 6 months, or a year. So peace of mind account is more like you know that no matter what happens, I'll still be able to support myself. So you're setting aside that money in so that it can like later serve you if anything happens. So peace of mind account, for instance, when in 2020 people were laid off, those that had peace of mind account, I would like to believe that they had less stress than the people that were living paycheck to paycheck. You know, when you're living paycheck to paycheck, and then when you get laid out, you literally have no money to keep on surviving, you know. So it's a very hard situation to be in. But if you have like some money aside, just tell you, let's say for 3 months, for 6 months, or for the next year, you somehow have that peace, like, okay, I'm late out of work, but I can still give myself a month or two to figure things out and see what my next step will be. So this is a good habit, because a lot of life situations are unpredictable, and you could find yourself in a situation that you've never imagined you'd be in. So it's just useful to have some money on the side as a buffer that will serve you when you need it. So I like to call this kind of accounts peace of mind accounts, because I think they kind of give you like a peace of mind knowing that whatever happens, you'll still be able to support yourself, because I think it's useful to be able to back yourself up. Yeah. Habit number 9 is having a retirement fund. I know this is not something that is not very common, at least among us teenagers, young people, young adults, and everyone. I think retirement is kind of like very common among the elders rather than us. But if you look at retirement funds, they say that it's most useful to start your retirement fund early rather than later. And in most cases, if you look at the person who started in their 20s or the person who started in their 30s to save for the retirement, usually the person who will save it in their 20s will have more returns even if they're saving minimum amounts, rather than the person who started in their 30s even if they'll send a little bit more than the person who started in their 20s. This is to say that time is a big factor when it comes to calculating your retirement funds, So the earlier you start, the better. And the good thing is some jobs do offer some retirement funds. So if a job has that, please don't shyly take that opportunity and go on with that. But if a job does not offer that, you could also look for other ways to do that. As for me, this is still, as personally right now, I'm still in an in between, because I remember back in the days, for Tanzania at least, back in the days, we had PSPF and TPF, one of each were for employees, and then another one was more even individuals who have their accounts and stuff like that. And I had my account back when I was in one, so I was what, I'll just start looking for retirement so that I have more time to do that, and that I'll just save as many as I can. So I opened that account. But then for this in this country draw, at a certain point they kind of merged in the companies, and they did not say what will happen to members of the other company ends. I never had the mental strength to follow up, so I don't know what people can do right now, especially if you want to do it personally. Let's say if your job does not offer such opportunities and you just want to do it by yourself. At the moment, I don't know what ways are available for independent contractors, but I know if your job is offering that, that's a good thing for you, as you should take that. Yeah. But also the other was still for retirement, in just seeing if there are long-term investments that you could do, because even long-term investment is also another form of retirement, because retirement is basically putting up. So last but not least, I would like to say the other money habit that we have to develop is to teach ourselves about digital money, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, and all that. I'm not saying you have to go out there and buy every cryptocurrency that is out there, but I'm just saying is that it's important to learn about digital money. And I'm saying that it's important to learn about digital currencies because I think if you look at the history of money, you can see money has moved from different things, from shells to barter trade, gold standard, and now we have the fiat currency, which is the paper money. And I think if you look at the history very carefully, we could just see there is a potential, there is potential that we could move to that next phase of money. But before you make that other phase, I think it's important to just give yourself enough education on where we're going and stuff like that. And if you think it's okay by you to start investing in cryptos, please start doing so. I myself do have some cryptos, and I think you should just make your own research and choose which cryptos you think you'd like to support and you'd like to buy, either to hold or trade. But I think it's very crucial to educate yourself on digital currency, because the history of money is a very interesting thing, and it has changed years and years and years, and there is nothing that can stop it from changing this time around. So let's not be behind and teach ourselves on digital finance, because that habit will serve us in the years to come, and it can serve us in many ways, So yeah, I'm sitting digital currency. And in case you're curious what cryptos I have bought myself, I would not like to share that, but I think you should just go on and do your own research and choose which cryptos you want. But I can simply say that I do have some cryptocurrencies and I do not regret buying them. Yeah. Actually, a very interesting fact is this. So at first, when I started buying cryptocurrencies, I had my own skepticism. The usual skepticism, people are oh, what if you lose your money? What if you do so and so and so? And I was I read this book called The History of Money, which I think gave me a different perspective, because I think because I was born at the age where we are using fiat money, which is paper money, and I have not seen the ancient bills, barter trade, or gold standard, or all of that. So to me, at first, it was more like paper money is the only money that I had. So I had like this. But after reading the book, The History of Money, I kind of like get an insight into how like things has changed from generation to generation to generation. And with that knowledge, I think I was more open to like digital finance, because I've seen like if things have changed in the previous years, it's possible that they could change in the future. So I had like a different a section with like digital finance. Also, there's this other book that I would recommend. It's called The Bitcoin Standard. It's also like a good entryway into understanding like cryptocurrencies and all. So yeah, the story was that. So when I was getting into cryptocurrencies and stuff, so I had my own worries and stuff. So I decided to like reframe my mindset. So I would, like how you spend on clothes and shoes, and you forget that you spent the money, and then life moves on. So I treat cryptocurrency the same way, right? The money that I've used to buy those currencies, it's like I've spent on any other thing that I want. Like the money that I spent when I went to the club, I never think about the money ever again. So I treat my cryptocurrencies money the same way. Like, once I buy a crap, I'm like, okay, that's another spending done. I chill. Because I think if you start like worrying like, oh, I've put that much, how much do I get back and stuff like that, that would just be like unnecessary worries. And then you're just pushing yourself in a not very good situation. That's all I can share about cryptos, but please stay tuned and learn more if you can. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope this video has been useful, and don't forget to subscribe and generate a community. Also, you can share this video with your friends if you think they can learn something from it. So thank you for having me. Bye bye. Until next time.